This netcast is brought to you by Deerswood, the Excel experts, helping you get the most out of Excel. Today we're going to look at working with tables in Excel, what we're going to do, we've got a simple table here which has a list of products which are hoists. We've got 4 different types: base mount, monorail, dual rail and quad rail, a series of different models, the maximum load that each hoist can handle, and then the price, all fictitious of course. And what I want to do is create a table with this, enable us to select a set of values from that table and look up various columns. So if we select a model, I want to be able to use load factor or price, or look up load factor or price. You know, we could use VLOOKUP, but I want to do it in a slightly different way with tables because they are more intuitive in terms of the way you work with the data. So the first thing we're going to need to do is create the table. So we just say insert table, and there we've got a table, and we can then rename that, and I like to put a prefix of table, and then I'm going to say hoist. So that's our hoist table right there. So then if we want to choose a model, what I'd like to do here is have a drop down and enable us to choose any one of these models that we have here. So normally what we would do is go to data validation, select from a list, and then you would expect to be able to put in there table hoist, and then the column which is model. Oops. And then click OK. But that doesn't work. So you can't put the specific column that you want in this data validation. What you actually need to do is to set up a named range first of all, and we're going to call this named range, I like to have a prefix of range hoist model. And then in here we can put the table reference, bang. So if we look at that now, that selects the correct set of values. And then if we go to our data validation, we can select a list and then put in the range, which was hoist model. And then that gives us a lovely drop-down list of all the hoist models. We do have one problem, which is there is one hoist that is both a dual rail and a quad rail, and that appears twice, and you can see that's in the list here. But we're going to ignore that for now. There'll be another video to show you how to deal with that later on. And if I want to count the number of occurrences that hoist in there, we could use count if. So we could put the range, which is hoist table, table hoist, and model, and the criteria would be equal to that. So we can see there's only one instance of that hoist model in there. If we actually chose 7005, we can see there's 2. Okay, so what I want to be able to do is to choose a model which is 5,000, and then look up the load factor. So clearly we need to be able to choose which column we want to find. So to be able to choose the column we want to find, there's a special, when you're working with tables, there's a special reference for headers. And again, what I want to do is to set up a pick list so we can pick whichever header that we wish. And as we saw before, we need to put in a named range. So we're going to call this range hoist header, and we're going to point that to range we're going to table hoist hash headers, and that should give us the hoist headers. So now if we use the data validation and we create a list and we say range hoist headers like that, brilliant, we can choose our whichever column we want to look up on. So then the way that we're going to do the pull, we're going to use the index function. So if we're going to start off with the model, we can use the model and we can find the row by using a match, and then actually we can use the index by, if we want to look up the price, we can just find that appropriate row using the model. So the first thing we need to do is to do match. The lookup value is that one there, and then the lookup array is going to be table hoist, and we're going to do that on the model. And then very important, we get 0, so we can see that B5000 is position 1 in that column. If we look at BM6000, we got position 7. So if we now match the header, we're going to do the lookup value, which is that, and then we're going to use table hoist, and then we're going to see this one here. We can just double click that to get the headers, and then again, very important in the match is 0. So we're going to get 1, 2, 3. We're going to get that one, and then to just pull the data from the table, we just do index, and then we do the array, which is the table hoist, and we do the row, which is going to be the model, and we're going to do the column, which is going to be the header, and we got 1000 there. So if we look at the M6000, the load factor is 1000. If we change the price, or we want to change it to the price, we get 25,000. Perfect. And then one final trick before we sign off on this one is we want to put that all in one formula here. So let's just do this. The way we're going to do that, we're going to use the clipboard. So let's copy that first formula, Control C, put it in the clipboard. We'll then copy the column formula, we'll put that in the clipboard, and then we'll copy the final one and we'll put that in the clipboard, Control C. So all we need to do now is we'll copy the first formula. Now the G5, what we're going to need to do is replace that by the row formula, remembering the row comes first, and then we've got G6, which we're going to replace by the column formula. So that should work. So now we have in one particular formula the way to pull data, as long as it's unique, of course, from a table. We just use the index, the table name, and then we've got the row that we need and the column that we need, and that all works. Okay, so that's the simple stuff in terms of working with the table. Find us at deerswood.co.uk, helping you get the most out of Excel.